So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first, council meeting in the council chambers here for the this new term of council. So Wednesday, November the 23rd at 9:30. Welcome to the council meeting. The first item on the agenda, as always, is I could ask you to stand and we'll call to order and have the national anthem. Thank you, everyone. So the next item on the agenda is a public forum, not to exceed 15 minutes. Just as a reminder, since this is the first one we've had in a while, public forum is a forum to discuss items that are not on the agenda, and we invite the public to come and speak to that. We do require them to register in advance if possible, and we would like always remind speakers to keep the comments respectful to the 5-minute time frame. And typically with public forum, we don't as council respond immediately to those comments, but we're certainly here to welcome any of the comments that are made during that time. And just I don't know that we don't have other people speaking, but just to remind speakers, we have I guess we're going to put the timer on the screen, Mr. Clerk. We're not using the lights. Okay, so it's a 5-minute time frame. The time will be on the screen, and we'll ask you to keep your comments to 5 minutes. So the first person that we have is Arsham Modikanalu, and I'm really sorry, I probably didn't do that properly, but anyway, Arsham.
Good morning.
Oh, right here, the podium. Just come as close to the microphone as you can.
If you don't mind, I'll do the speaking this morning. Arsham is my husband. My name is Farnaz. We live together in Richmond Hill. He's the one who just did the applications for us to be here this morning. That's why it's under his name. I'll try to keep it as minimal as possible. However, we have a general concern versus a specific concern. The specific concern is that we have a neighbor that is extremely upset about a cat being off a leash. And this is with respect to the Richmond Hill bylaw Charter Chapter 306, animal trespassing, specifically 306.1.1, animal trespassing prohibited responsibility. No person who owns, harbors, or possesses an animal shall allow it to trespass on private property, even when on a leash. We have done our best to try to resolve this problem with ourselves, with our neighbors, with bylaw officers, with police officers, but it's getting to the point where we are being harassed and inconvenienced because of this bylaw. Now, we have done everything within our power to try to prevent the issue, prevent the cats from going out. However, just as a very brief history, we only take in rescue animals. We don't go to animal shops and take luxury animals. We only rescue animals. So the most recent animal that we rescued was from a back of a industrialized area auto repair facility. He was literally born with his siblings in the back of an abandoned vehicle. So it's hard to really train such animals to stay indoors. As soon as the door opens, they run out, trying to catch them. There have been many times we've run down the street trying to do so. In any event, not that this is such a pressing concern for the city, it has become pressing for us as citizens because, again, it's become to the point of harassment. The police show up because the neighbor alleges that we're threatening him and so forth. At this point, we've spoken to many, many neighbors within our neighborhood, and they all are animal lovers, and they all also have cats. Many of them have cats, and I also see many of them chasing their cats, trying to get them in because of this one specific neighbor. He has made it his mission to put surveillance everywhere. Literally, when you drive on the street, you don't go on his property, you're driving on Richmond Street, his lights all activate, his cameras activate. It's more of a inconvenience and it's almost a sense of invasion of privacy for those that are just walking along the street and have nothing to do with his property. Nevertheless, we have been charged by the bylaw officer. Our matter is pending in court. I'm not sure what sort of evidence there is at this point because there are other animals also on the street, other stray animals, not just our cats. Having said all of this, in light of the support that we have from our neighbors, what we wanted to inquire, we contacted the city and they directed us to come here, was how can we go about amending a bylaw if we have the support of many in the neighborhood as well? So if it's by signatures or petition or by what method? And that's what our inquiry, unfortunately, taking up your time is here today. If this could have been done administratively, we would have been happy to do so. But again, they guided us to come here. There are other cities that we've looked into that don't have such issues or such bylaws, I should say. I believe City of Toronto, that's where we formerly lived before. That's where we had our cats before. That's where our cats got used to also being outdoor cats, and there was no issue whatsoever. So when we moved here to try to retrain them has been practically impossible. I tried doing it for 2 weeks, gave up sleep for 2 weeks. I just cannot do it. And again, we have neighbors and others that also want their animals or their cats. We're not talking about any other animal, just specifically cats, to be able to roam freely without worrying about the neighbor or what he might do. So again, it just goes back to how can we go about, if it's possible, to amend this bylaw just for the cat issue, not dogs. We fully understand that, but those are respectful submissions.
Okay. No, thank you so much. What I would recommend is if you want to reach out to our office, I can talk to you about this offline and have a more fulsome conversation about it. I get it. We own a cat too, cats try to train humans. It's not the other way around. So
yeah, understand that.
Yeah,
that is
I understand
true.
that. My cat's doing quite well, actually. So, okay. Anyway, thank you so much. And if you want to reach out to our office, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you again for your time. Have a good morning.
Okay, the next person to speak is Galina Gantman. Galina, welcome.
Thank you.
Just pull the microphone down a bit, Galina.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
Hello, I'm going to read because I want to make it in 5 minutes and I have a lot to say. My name is Galina Gantman. I have been a resident of Richmond Hill for over 35 years. Today, I will speak on behalf of many people of Richmond Hill. They are my neighbors, friends, family members that reside in Richmond Hill. To start with, Mayor West, newly re-elected councillors, I would like to congratulate all but one of you with recent re-election and election. We would like to take this opportunity to reconfirm that you are representing us and work on our behalf. The feeling amongst us people is that in the last few years, the Councillors Committee has lost its sight of its mandate. Every time we open the Liberal, there is a story about councillors suing each other, bickering, fighting, disagreeing. In summary, not working hard for us, the people of Richmond Hill. We have entrusted you with a great responsibility of taking care of us and our city. We have given you funds to do so, and we expect you to deliver. Good politicians find their way out of conflicts without resorting to extreme measures. During the recent election period, we have met with many candidates. Not a single one asked us about what we want. Everyone told us what they will do for us, whether we want it or not. Today, we are here to tell you what majority of us want. First, our city needs a major cleanup. The streets are filthy. There is litter everywhere. Sidewalks are covered in dogs' feces. There are lots of private dwellings where grass is taller than me. The public garbage cans are overflowing with garbage, and it's not clear timely. We have new private houses going up that are taller than 3-story buildings and have no green space at all. Second, we need to better educate newcomers about our laws and bylaws. Most people are not aware of our laws are all about, so they break them, not because they're bad people, it's because they're unaware. People need to know what is a law, that it's a law to pick up after their animals. They need to know that even if you picked up after your dog, you cannot press the crab bag through the water sewage grate because it clogs the water drainage. We need to teach people that they cannot bring bags of their own personal garbage and dump them in the garbage cans of our parks. Most of this is education and enforcement. We need to set up educational tools which will deliver this information to people. We have many ideas if you would listen. And people need to know that if you break the law, there are consequences to it. Third, our city grows rapidly, and it should grow. What you need to ensure is that infrastructure grows in proportion with it. We must make sure that all types of businesses open up and thrive and stay open here in Richmond Hill. We need better transportation, easier access to businesses. We need more parks and green spaces, better school buildings. We need infrastructure expansion. Good politicians listen to their people constantly, not only at election time. They listen and they act. You were chosen to represent us, the people. So please listen and act. The last election shows that the majority of us voted for our mayor. He is a good leader. Listen to him and follow his directions. And we, the people, thank you very much for doing so. Allow me to move to my next topic. Am I out for time?
No, you have 1 minute.
Okay, allow me to move to our next topic. In many court trials, victims have an opportunity to read a victim impact statements. Here's ours. I would like to start with a very short personal story. Summers ago, our personal property was burglarized. I will never forget how we felt. It was not the amount of loss that bothered us. It's the fact that someone came, took our personal things. That feeling had come back to us when we read in the Liberal that Councillor Selevich had been charged.
Okay, Ms. Cantman, this is not the time or place for going down that road at this time. So I'd ask you to.
This is a victim impact statement.
No, we're not doing that at this time. But if you would, I appreciate everything you said up to this point, but I would just caution you. Keep your comments respectful at this time. Thank you.
It is respectful.
I'm not sure where this is going, so I'm just pointing that out.
With a recommendation that she should apologize to
No,
us.
okay, this is not what the public forum is for at this time. If you would like to write your comments down and send that to people involved, that's fine, but this is not what this is about right now.
So I cannot recommend that she should apologize to people?
No, you can write that down in a comment and email it to the people involved if you would like, but we're not doing that in the public forum right now.
And by people involved, do you mean? Who am I writing to?
Whoever you're referring to, you can put that in writing if you'd like, but we're not doing that right now in the public forum.
You mean I should write to councillors?
If that's what you'd like to do, that's fine, but we're not doing that in the public forum right now.
To do the people, because in the voting, so I'm just going to summarize with the voting statistics. So just to point out that the voting statistics were that 77% of people did not vote for Councillor Selevich.
Okay.
Only 23% of people voted.
Your time is up. So thank you so much. I will say, just briefly, the comments that you made at the very beginning with council listening to your concerns, I'll speak for myself, but I think I'm probably safe speaking for everybody else. A lot of the concerns that you've outlined are things that we are certainly aware of. And at any time, if you want to reach out to us individually, you're certainly welcome to do that. And I think I can speak for my colleagues in saying that we're happy to listen. That's one of the things that we're going to work really hard on in this term of council. So thank you so much.
Okay. Listen and take our suggestions, what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah. And I will leave the meeting now. It's not a disrespect to the rest of
No, that's
your
fine.
meeting. It's just that I've got other arrangements.
No problem. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is council announcements. I just would like to quickly start by saying I wanted to extend a welcome to all of the members of council that are here, especially to the ones that are new. It's great to have you on board. We had a really great council inauguration the other day, and I think we're off to a good start. So thank you. And just one quick other announcement. Best of luck to the Canadian soccer team. I know we've got a big game later on today. And I think we have a good heritage of soccer in Richmond Hill as well. And I suspect that there will be thousands and thousands of young and maybe not so young people cheering on. And I just wanted to say that if you go to the city website, there is an opportunity to go to the theater to watch the game and hopefully celebrate as a community for all of the games that we have upcoming. So thanks so much. Anybody else with announcements? Councillor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good morning. Maybe I'm the only one who feel excited, but thank you for everyone who have actually participated in the municipal election a month ago. And I think that you have a council here. I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues from right to left, and good to be back. And I was just also saying that it's certainly I have to get adjusted to sitting in the center versus I used to get a bird's eye view from very end of this bench. But you know what? My commitment to serve our community is always here as I first entered public life in 16 years. Thank you. I look forward to working with each and every one of my colleagues in a very cooperative and collaborative manner. And I guess the mayor just mentioned it. I was about to say, cheering for Canada, go Canada, go. And although Belgium, I believe, is ranked number 2 at this point in time in Canada, I think it's 41. But you know what? Expected the unexpected. And you're all welcome. Go to the theater to watch the games in the big screen. So it's certainly a bright day for us in Richmond Hill to start the new term. And welcome my return colleagues, and also very warm welcome to my new colleagues. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to the exciting 4 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Chan. Is there anybody else? Councillor Davidson. I have to get used to saying these things, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to again thank the people of Richmond Hill for voting for new council members that we have. Thank Ward 1 residents for voting for me. And the resident who just spoke, her issues were mostly on the ground, things we all live with. I'm a resident too. We are here to help, and I think we're going to work as a team. And I really, truly am excited about the next 4 years. I just wanted to say thank you again, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thanks very much. Councillor Silvitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everybody. And it's a pleasure to be back in council chambers. I just have a few announcements. I want to welcome and send congratulations again to all members of council following the election, and to our 4 new councillors. We are very proud to have you work with us and glad to have you join our team. On Saturday, November the 26th, a rally to oppose Bill 23 will be held at Richmond Green from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. All are welcome. This rally is being held in partnership with Environmental Defence Canada, which is at the, sorry, I'm losing my place here. Okay, which is sponsoring rallies across Ontario on Saturday. Please go to environmentaldefense.ca/hands-off-the-greenbelt for more information. I would also like to take this opportunity to mention that tomorrow at the Markham Civic Center, outside where they have the flags, there will be a candlelight vigil held from 7 to 8 p.m. called Bright the Night. This candlelight vigil will be held in memory of those killed and wounded at the attack on Club Q in Colorado Springs. Our LGBTQS plus residents are family, and we support them all and stand with them at this tragic time. An attack on one is an attack on all. Please remember to wear masks indoors at public gatherings. We are fighting a tridemic at the moment, RSV, flu, as well as COVID-19, which is still with us. And our public health individuals across Ontario have suggested and recommended that masks be worn indoors and at public gatherings. This is to protect us all. That's it. One more thing I just want to thank again our clerk, Mr. Stephen Hike, and his staff and our event staff for the fantastic inauguration ceremony that they hosted on Monday night. Thank you, Stephen. It was superb. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Silvitz. Anybody else? Okay, so the next item on the agenda is introduction of emergency or time-sensitive matters. Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, I'd like now to move to adoption of the agenda. So can we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Chan, Councillor Silvitz, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Disclosures of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none, Mr. Clerk. The first item then on the agenda is to adopt the previous council minutes for special council meeting September 7th, council public meeting September 7th, special council meeting on September 13th, and the council meeting on September the 14th. Regional Local Councillor DePaula, seconded by Councillor Silvitz. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Items requiring separate discussion. So I need to pull item 13.2, which is the council and committee schedule. Is there anybody else that would like to pull anything? We have member motions which automatically get pulled, and Councillor Chan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull 13.3 in terms of having a direction to staff on the Bill 23. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to pull anything for discussion? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt the remainder of the items? Councillor Liu, Councillor Silvitz, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so we have no public hearings. We do have a presentation, actually, which is a great way to kick off this new council term. Let me just grab my notes here. So today we are presenting the William F. Bell Young Entrepreneur Award. Mayor Bell served Richmond Hill for 26 years, including 6 terms as mayor. Each year, this award is awarded, and it honors his legacy. Joining us to help present the award today are Mayor Bell's daughter, Julie, and brother, John, I believe. So welcome to you both. It's very good to see you in 3 dimensions. In 2006, the city introduced the William F. Bell Young Entrepreneur Award to recognize successful young entrepreneurs taking part in the Ontario Summer Company Program. Richmond Hill's Summer Company Program began in 2004, and since then, more than 160 fantastic young entrepreneurs in our community have successfully launched a summer business with the help from the Richmond Hill Small Business Enterprise Center. So I would now like to invite Julie to tell us about this year's recipient.
Hello, I have happy notes to read. Thank you, Mayor West, and thank you to council for inviting us here today. On behalf of my family, I am happy to be here to present this award. This year's winner is a dedicated and hardworking student who created a lawn mowing company called Larry's Lawn Mowing Service. He wanted to service his community while getting other students involved with the company, so he decided to launch a cost-effective lawn mowing service focused on great customer service. He initially ran into operational hurdles, but through determination and perseverance, managed to grow and hire 11 service agents for his business. Together, they were able to provide 30 homeowners in Richmond Hill and around the GTA with lawn mowing services. I am pleased to announce that this year's William F. Bell Young Entrepreneur is Larry Lee, owner of Larry's Lawn Mowing Service.
So just a quick little bit, I've only met Larry recently, but Larry has shown determination and passion for entrepreneurship with his hard work over this summer. We wish him continued success with his lawn mowing business, and maybe someday he'll be a summer company mentor and another young entrepreneur, or to another young entrepreneur. So on behalf of the Bell family and members of council and the Richmond Hill Small Business Enterprise Center, I'd like to congratulate Larry on his participation in the summer company program and for his success. So Larry, way to go and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I think we're going to take a picture now. When you're famous, you got pictures taken of you. That's great. And I think we also may have proud parents in the audience, and I think that's fantastic. So congratulations to you both as well. Thank you so much. Good job. Thanks. Thank you. We'll see you later. Thanks very much. Thanks, Terry. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. It's great to know that we have fantastic young entrepreneurs in the family, and that's great for our economy and our community. And it's also great for older people like me to know that younger people like you can help to support us when we get older. Thanks very much. Okay. So the next item on the agenda then. So we have no delegations today. And I guess we'll jump right in then to the first item that we have, I guess, is 13.2, right? Yeah. Okay, 13.2 was pulled by myself. It's the council and committee meeting schedule item. So at this point, as chair, I will pass the chair over to Deputy Mayor Chan, who can take the chair while we deal with that item.
Thank you. Mayor West, on item 13.2.
Okay, thank you so much, Deputy Mayor Chan. So one of the things that came up quite a bit in the last little while, and certainly during the election, was the reinstatement of a committee of the whole. And I've talked to all members of council now, and I think we agree that reinstating committee of the whole would be a good thing. I think it's a great opportunity for the community to be coming out a second time, to be delegating and talking about items and issues that come up on our agenda. And it's also an opportunity, I think, for us as council members to have an opportunity to discuss at committee of the whole items that are on the agenda, ask any questions that we have. And then, you know, if there's more information that we're seeking, we can come back and get that further information. And then the next week at council, we would be passing or considering again, but likely passing some of the items that we dealt with at committee of the whole. So I think this is a very positive move to help, you know, make sure that we're discussing and delegating and considering issues on the agenda to the fullest extent that we possibly can. So what I'd like now, if I could, Mr. Clerk, if you could put up an amendment to the council or to the staff motion on 13.2, which essentially will reinstate committee of the whole on one week, and then council meetings will be the following week. What I would like to do is put the council meetings at 10 a.m., not in the evening. And I know that there has been some discussion about having evening meetings. I don't disagree with that. But one of the other items that I would like to make a change to in this as well, and this is encapsulated in the amendment, is when we do delegations, instead of doing delegations and then we deal with the item and then the rest of the delegations and then another item, which ends up meaning that the public is here for, I mean, they could be here for the entire meeting to deal with the delegation that they're interested in. So we'll do all of the delegations at the beginning. And then that way the public will have a pretty good idea, actually a very good idea of how long they'll be there. And I think with the ability to do remote Zoom delegations, which we'll still have, that'll give the public good opportunity to be able to delegate whenever they can. We'll see how that goes. I think there is an extra cost of doing meetings in the evening. If that's what we have to do, that's fine. But I think that with some of the changes that we have now with remote delegations and the changes that are encapsulated in this amendment, I think we'll have enough to be able to maximize the participation that the public can have with those changes. And, if we need to make further tweaks at some point down the road, that's fine. We can. And I guess the last thing I would say is that it will take a little bit of time for us to get this new system up and running. So I believe, Mr. Clerk, as we talked about, this will start at the beginning of March. So we will have a couple of meetings in January and I guess one more in December and maybe a couple in February that will be under the old system, but we will be moving as quickly as we can to get that reinstated. And in March, we will be fully up and running in the new system. So that would be my amendment, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. And I think Councillor Silovitz had told me that she would be willing to give that a second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I'm glad to hear there's a seconder. Councillor Silovitz, can you confirm you are seconding this motion?
I am. Thank you, sir.
Is there something you want to say?
Yes, Mayor West basically said it all, but I firmly believe that committee of the whole meetings should be returned to council chambers. It offers the public an extra chance to comment and step forward and discuss issues on the items on the agenda that will be coming forward to council the following week. And I do support the 10 a.m. start for council and 10 a.m. start for committee meetings. That is, I feel the same way as Mayor West, that we should have, it would be nice to have them back in the evening. We still have council public meetings in the evening. But there is a cost involved here where there is staff overtime that has to be paid, and it's in tens of thousands of dollars. So having them during the day when staff are here in the building is a much more effective manner for us to have our meetings. And also, as Mayor West mentioned, we now have the ability of Zoom and virtual meetings. So everybody who wishes to attend can attend virtually. Otherwise, that's it. That's my full support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Silovitz. Any comments for any member? And what to Councillor Thompson, and then what one Councillor Davidson.
Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate looking at clause A2. So it does say that with any necessary adjustments for holiday and March break. And I believe on the old schedule, we did have a slight oversight that created a conflict with a holiday, the start of Passover. So I believe this will help take care of that. Is that correct? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Davidson.
Thank you. My concern with any of this would be I want the public to be able to participate, and I'm encouraged by the mayor saying we'll tweak it if we need to. I think the meetings need public engagement, and I know we'll probably deal with this later on, but part of that will be making it easy for people to be delegations and getting them in and out of meetings in a timely fashion. So, and I also look forward to the committee of the whole meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davidson. Any other comments? Yes, Mayor West.
If I could just, are we wrapping up? I did forget to mention one thing, and that is the in Part C, Committee of the Whole meetings, as we probably all know, are not chaired by myself. They're chaired by members of council on a rotating basis. So the schedule of rotation is laid out in that amendment as well. So all of us on council will have an opportunity to chair committee of the whole meetings once we start in March.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, there is a table on item C. Any other comments? If not, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor? Mr. Kirk? It's great. We have this motion carried unanimously, and I'm happy to pass the chair back to Mayor West. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, you know, I'm going to pass it back to you again, Deputy Mayor Chan, because there's a couple of other member motions that I have as well. Oh, my apologies. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, sorry, I'll take it back. We'll just play. Thanks so much. Okay, item 13.3 was pulled by Councillor Chan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the item 13.3 and also one of our colleagues also mentioned the announcement, I believe it's Councillor Civilis talking about there has been quite a lot of attention paid to the Ontario Bill 23. The term is actually the More Homes Built Faster Act 2022. On the face of it, it's certainly something that all municipalities, including Richmond Hill, we all would like to have in terms of the measures to address the housing issue, which is not only a Richmond Hill issue, but all across Greater Toronto area and even other parts of Canada. So the principle of the act is certainly very noble. I want to build 15,000 homes in 10 years. However, the act is also to make changes to 9 current legislation or statute that actually will be impacting on a number of things, including the financial aspect, if passed, because it would have changes to the Developmental Charges Act, and also it will impact on in terms of how municipalities could finance based on the model that we are currently using, growth pay for growth, which is not something that municipalities would be able to do so if the bill is passed. As well, there's environmental concerns such as the, one would say, diminishing role of the Conservation Authority. So all in all, this is going to be impacting on not just Richmond Hill, but across the board on the Ontario 444 municipalities. Association of Municipalities Ontario has already made a submission. However, they're not given the opportunity to be heard by the Committee of Heritage at the legislature. Nonetheless, the Region of York, in the very last meeting of the past term on November the 10th, passed a 3-point motion, which I believe members, you already have received a copy of that, 1, 2, 3. But the main point is that York Region, which I'm proposing my members' motion to support York Region's motion to request the Province of Ontario to halt Bill 23 and begin consultation with the Housing Supply Action Plan Implementation Team, because this is actually a team the Province has announced earlier. What are we trying to do to ensure municipalities can work in partnership with the province over the next few months to address these housing affordability issues and concerns of communities? So, Mr. Clerk, if I could ask you to please also put the motion that I have draft for my colleagues' consideration on the screen, please. Thank you. In the WARE statement, basically staying on the background about the what has been done today by the Province of Ontario, which I mentioned earlier, is certainly an approach to address the housing affordability issues and supply issues. And I think this is something that we all endeavor at all levels of government to work towards. I would only say that we're looking forward to working in a provincial government in a cooperative manner collaborative way. But the third C word is consultation, and that's what we're asking for. So my colleagues and members of public, that the important part is that the second last paragraph, Council endorse a decision of York Regional Council dated November the 10th, 2022, in its entirety to request the Ponds Ontario to halt consideration of Bill 23 to enable opportunity for greater consultation for all stakeholders, not just communities. It's so important. That's why we repeat 2 times. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Regional Councillor Chan. So I think we have a seconder for that, Councillor Silovitz.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you, Regional Councillor Chan. I definitely support this. I think Councillor Chan covered it all. I think one of the most important sections of this motion is the first line under "now therefore be it resolved that" Council endorses the decision of the York Regional Council dated November 10, 2022 in its entirety to request the province of Ontario to halt consideration of Bill 23 to enable opportunity for greater consultation with all stakeholders. That means we're democratic. So I absolutely 100% believe that there needs to be far, far greater consultation before this moves any further forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this motion on the floor? Okay, I would like to make a couple of comments. So I appreciate this coming forward. And it has been a real challenge because, this was announced the day after the election. I mean, I don't know about all of you, but I was taking my signs down on that day. And, we really haven't had a real good chance as a council to sit down and really go over all the implications of this. So to begin with, I think the timeline is really problematic. And I know we ran into that at the region. Luckily, we had a meeting at the region scheduled, and we were still in session to be able to deal with this. So I appreciated that this motion that Councillor Chan is referring to here passed, I think, almost unanimously at the region. My biggest concerns, and there are many, but the ones that I'll just speak to in the time I have is I think there are environmental impacts on this, more so probably in other parts of the region, but certainly there are a couple of areas in Richmond Hill. We have a lot of protected spaces, and frankly, I am firmly of the belief that we need to keep those protected. They're protected for a reason. The role of the conservation authorities being diminished, I think, is problematic. They have the expertise to make sure that we're protecting our community from flooding. And that was the reason that they were put in place after Hurricane Hazel. And also the lands that they control are lands that are in floodways for the most part. So I think that's very important that they be maintained as protected lands. We're going to have an impact to our ability to get parkland and parkland cash in lieu to revitalize the existing parks that we have. And as a growing community like Richmond Hill, I am very concerned about that. But probably the thing that most keeps me up at night is what's suggested in this bill is to reduce or eliminate development charges on some, possibly many, of our development applications. This is very problematic. We have millions and millions of dollars that we rely on in development charges that come into us to pay for growth. And if we don't have that money coming in and there's no other alternative source that's dependable, reliable, and sufficient, we are going to deal without the infrastructure that we need for growth, or we're going to be taxing our property tax payers for that growth. And both of those situations are entirely, in my mind, unacceptable. So the implications that this has for our community and others in the GTA especially are huge. The Ontario Big City Mayors has put out a very strong statement about that. I was very active in participating in that statement. The AMO, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, has taken a fairly firm stand on that. I noticed that the smaller city mayors caucus, which includes Aurora and Newmarket in our area, also have come out strongly against Bill 23. And many environmental groups, I mean, it's hard to keep track of them all now, have also expressed serious concerns. So I think that, I'm very much in support of this. I think what we need right now is a pause. We all, I'm sure, agree that we need to build more housing that's affordable for more people. We are completely on board with the title of and the intent of this motion, Bill 23. But I think the problem that we're running into right now is that I don't think that this is going to happen. And as I mentioned at the region, I believe that this is like cutting an onion with a chainsaw. You know, we're going to have a situation here where we're trying to do this all in the intent of this bill is in the name of more affordable housing and more housing. But I think the undesirable side effects are going to be huge, and we're going to have nothing left of the onion if we continue forward with this. So I think we need to pause. We need to have some consultations, which we have not really sufficiently had up to this point. We need to do those consultations quickly because this is a situation where we need to get on with it. But I don't think consultations have happened in a way that's good enough at this point. The other thing I will say is that the deadline for some of the consultations on this bill is tomorrow. So staff, you're going to have to get your fingers ready at the keyboard to get these this letter and this correspondence out to all of the different parties that need to receive it. But I think this is the responsible thing to do for Richmond Hill and, for other municipalities in York Region. And I appreciate that we're dealing with this today. So thank you, Councillor Chan, for bringing this up. So those would be my comments. Thank you. Okay, so seeing no others on the list, Councillor Chan, you had said you want to wrap up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It may be coincidental. Today is November 23rd. I hope my colleagues would support this motion to take a very strong position in saying that collectively, and I hope unanimously, that to voice our view from Richmond Hill to the Ponds, Ontario. One is that we are prepared to work with you collaboratively, but also please consult with us. As the mayor was talking about a pause, if it's in a basketball game or some kind of games, it's basically we're asking for a timeout, not to saying that we are not going to make it better. As the mayor also points out, majority of the areas that for consultation deadline is tomorrow, 24th, through the November registry. That's why I want to emphasize the second part of my motion is a copy of this council approved resolution be sent forthwith. Usually motion doesn't include that, but forthwith meaning almost immediately to the Premier Ontario, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the leader of opposition, and also the leaders of all the parties and MPPs in the province of Ontario, the clerk of the Standing Committee of Heritage, Infrastructure and Cultural Policy, and the mayor already mentioned about the other associations such as Large Urban Mayors Caucus, Small Urban GTHA Mayors, Regional Chairs of Ontario, and Association of Municipalities Ontario. So my colleagues, and ask for your consideration and support of this motion because we need to send a very strong message where we stand within the probably 24 or 25 hours we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a motion in front of us. All those in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. All right, so the next, we're now into member motions. The first couple, I guess the first three are mine. So I'd like to pass the chair over to you, Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you. So we are dealing with this motion that you have, Mr. Mayor, 14.1, Mayor West.
Okay, thank you so much. So this was a motion that we had dealt with, I think, in April of the previous term of council. And it's a motion that it wants staff to look into the possibility of implementing a program whereby municipal campaign contributions from people that live in Richmond Hill can be made, and then they would get a rebate for, of some of it at least, to give back to them, to thank them for contributing to municipal campaigns. I think this is an important motion, and quite honestly, there are other municipalities that are doing this right now. So we do have some experience to draw upon as staff goes and takes a look at the possibilities, and some of their learning can be implemented in this motion. This is an idea that I think probably needs to be looked at and discussed, by this council. Whether or not ultimately we end up implementing this program or not will ultimately be up to council, as it always would be. But I think it's something that's worth exploring. There's been a lot of calls for campaign finance reform. And I think it is really important to have people in the community be willing to step up and support our electoral process in municipal campaigns. I mean, our election numbers went up a little bit this time, but it's only still at 30%. And I think as elected officials, I know we all know it's very difficult to raise money for an election campaign. I know I was really lucky to have a lot of citizens step up and donate. But I think what we also need to do with this motion is make sure that the amount of money that's being rebated is being rebated to those that we are trying to encourage to donate. So, not to corporations that don't reside or owners of corporations, I guess, that don't reside in Richmond Hill, but citizens of Richmond Hill. The average person on the street is what I'd like this to be targeted to. And so I think that's a very important part of what I'm expecting to see as a recommendation when we gather this information. So I think it speaks for itself. Other than that, the only other thing I would say is that the motion that's on the agenda, we need to change a little bit, because the timelines of the motion that was deferred from April have been obviously changed. I mean, we're past those timelines now. I was kind of hoping in April that we would have the answers and be able to have a direction by this point, but council decided at that time to defer it. And so we are probably a little behind the 8 ball. So I've got a slightly modified motion with regard to the timelines. Mr. Clerk, if you could put that up on the screen. Absolutely. Oh, sorry, I'm not the chair.
Thank you. Just for the benefit of council and the audience, I've highlighted the proposed changes by striking out and bolding, just so you're aware of the proposed changes to meet a timeline.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mayor West, you're the mover. Is that represent the changes you want to make?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we need a seconder. Oh, sorry, Mayor West, you finished with
I'm
your
done. Thank you.
remarks. Okay. I see Councillor Civilix, you want to second this? You want to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. No, I'm fine. I totally support this. I think that this is a very embracing way for us to perhaps get even greater public participation and residential participation in our elections. So I want to thank Mayor West for bringing this forward, and I certainly support it, and I look forward to the staff report coming our way.
Thank you, Councillor Civilix. Any other comments by other colleagues? First, I have Ward 4 Councillor Simon Chu, and then I have Regional and Local Councillor DePaula. Councillor Chu, please.
Okay, thank you so much for Mr. Deputy Chair, Deputy Mayor, also our Mr. Mayor as well. So I do have some comments, not only for the councillor ourselves, also for our staff. Consider the contribution from our residents. Look at around our nearby cities. There are some policies proposed by other cities. For example, for a small amount of the donation, for example, $40, $50, etc. And other cities has the similar policy. The city will contribute the same amount of small amount of money. For example, if you put $, the city will pay off $20 as well. This way they can encourage all the residents to join this elections. So that's a thought. And also I heard that news. I haven't confirmed this yet. So please consider if that's going to be in our proposal as well. So small amount of money, and the city can pay off the same amount of money for encourage residents to join. That's my comment. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chair. And next we have Regional Local Councillor DePaula.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am looking forward to this report coming back, and I want to see how best we can treat it in Richmond Hill. I've always wondered why, you know, surrounding municipalities have done this. I do understand the efforts to increase engagement and to assist local residents with their ability to contribute to candidates, but it's always bothered me that essentially you're taking, you know, property tax dollars from residents that pay in, and you're giving that money to in some cases large developers who donate to councillors. In some cases, you know, people that are wealthy enough to donate in the first place, and we're forcing our residents to contribute their property tax dollars to those wealthy individuals. So I think it could be done well if there's a criteria. Certainly the criteria that the person live in Richmond Hill. I think that's extremely important. If we're allowed to discriminate on that basis, but I'm looking forward to the report coming back. And then in terms of our budget, I really hope this report can come back quickly, because whatever implications there are for our property tax dollars, I'd like to spread it out over 4 years. I'd like to be able to put an amount into the 2023 budget and put an amount in there every year for the next 4 years, so that we don't take that hit in our operating budget for the election year coming up. So those are my concerns, and I look forward to this report coming back, and I will support the motion on the floor. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor DePaula. Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, Mayor West, would you like to wrap up?
No, I think those are well said, and I appreciate Councillor DePaulo's concerns, because I agree with you. Those are things that I'm hoping to see addressed or at least acknowledged in the staff report. So thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of the motion in front of us. Mr. Clerk, I'm happy to say that this member's motion moved by Mayor West is carried unanimously. And looks like I would continue to chair. I think the next motion, 14.2, member motion is also from you, Mayor West.
Thank you. So the next two motions actually are somewhat administrative in nature. 14.2 is just a bylaw, proposing a bylaw to appoint yourself as deputy mayor in my absence, and appoint regional and local councillor DePaulo as alternate deputy mayor in the absence of both of us, I suppose. And that needs to be done at the beginning of every term. So we will hopefully get unanimous support for that. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This seconder, is there anyone seconding the motion? Yes. I believe I see Councillor New first, and in the meantime, Mr. Kirk will bring up the motion. Councillor New.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I don't have any comments. I fully support this motion by the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the motion is going to be shown on the screen. So any other comments? I believe I see another hand. No. So if no further comments, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of this motion. So I don't have to say any opposed, because I'm happy to say again, Mr. Kirk, for the record, this motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much for your support. So moving on is motion 14.3, also a motion moved by Mayor West. Mayor West, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. So again, this motion is at the beginning of every council term, we need to appoint members of council to different committees that we have that are committees of council. I do appreciate very much, actually, the help and cooperation from all members of council as I've gone and spoken to all of you in the last week or two about which committees that you would like to be on. And I must admit, it was a little bit of a juggling act. There were a lot of people that wanted to be on a number of different committees, which I think was great. And it was just a matter of getting the right number of people on the right committees and making sure that one person wasn't overloaded and the other person was underloaded. And I think we've really matched the skill set and the passions that we each have on council with different committees. I will say that I think in most, if not all, well, I guess most cases, these committees are committees that all of us are welcome to participate in, attend the committee meetings and so on. And I know that as a past member of council, I've gone to a number of committees that I wasn't necessarily on, but I want to find out what was going on and make sure that I was in the loop. So just because you're not on a committee doesn't mean you can't be there and participate. But I do appreciate the leadership that different members have, put up their hand and said they would be willing to volunteer on those different committees. So it's all laid out there in the motion as to who's on what, and we will go from there. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor West. I need a seconder for this motion. Yes, Councillor Davidson, you like to second motion? That's great. You like to speak to it?
I look forward to being on committees. I think we have an opportunity to include the community in some decision making, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Davidson. Any other comments? Councillor Civilitz, please.
Thank you, Regional Councillor Chen. There's just one question I would like to clarify, and that is that the Budget Committee is inclusive of the entire members of council. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kirk is nodding.
Thank you.
Are you going to bring up the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I could bring up, but I'm only going to bring up maybe a third of it because it's a very long motion. Won't fit all on the screen. It is set out in the agenda.
Correct. Yeah, but it's important to point out, particularly to members of the public who are watching on the live stream. If you go to the agenda, which is already on display in the website, as Mr. Kirk was saying, it's a long list. And Mr. Mayor, as he said, is a balancing job because it's more than 5 committees the last time I counted. So, and I think it's important that that at the beginning of this term, as the mayor said, we are going to basically agree upon who sits where, but all members are welcome to sit in all committees. And I do see Councillor Tree's hand is up. So Councillor Tree, you want to speak on this motion?
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Deputy Chair. Just curiosity. So for this name list for committee members, are we going to publish to the public, or we just keep as a
Mr.
paper
Kirk?
here? Thanks.
Thank you. Great question, Councillor Tree. So certainly this list was published in the agenda, which is available to the public. And when the minutes of, assuming this passes as is, when the minutes of this meeting are passed, that will also be published. So it is certainly a public record that's easily accessible from the city's website.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. Councillor Tree, does answer your question? Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Thompson.
Yes, this is more for clarification on item F. It does talks about the membership of the committee will be comprised of Ward 5 councillor and Ward 6 councillor. This is for the David Dunlop Observatory Park Project Steering Committee. It also says one additional member of council. Maybe we could just get clarification on that particular.
Thank you for your question, Mayor West. You are the mover. You have an answer for that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. That's a good question, Councillor Thompson. So the old terms of reference with that included myself on that committee. And when I spoke to members of council, I think it was very important that we get the most knowledgeable people and the most appropriate people on that list. I love the David Dunlop Observatory park for sure. It's one of my favorite parks, but I thought that given the three that I've put on that list, Councillor Chan, Silovitz, and Shu, they were more appropriate for that committee. So I've actually taken myself off that committee. And so the terms of reference had to change a little bit. And that's what's reflected in the motion here. I will be going to all the meetings, I promise, but I think that the three members of council were most appropriate, and I step back for that one.
Thank you, Mayor West. Councillor Thompson, does that answer your question? I should also mention that I have the privilege to chair this meeting for the last term. In addition to members of council, we also have community members. So this is a really a committee of council, but also we have really active, engaging committee members for this committee. Any other comments from my colleagues? If not, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of this motion in front of us at 14.3 on the agenda item, raise your hand. I believe, Mr. Clerk, I'm happy to say is unanimous. So thank you, Mayor West, for bringing that forward. This motion has been carried. So moving on, Mayor West, you have another motion on 14.4, which is a number of people are waiting for, speaking to the Community and Cultural Grant Program. Mayor West.
Thank you. Okay, so the last two were administrative, but this one is just downright exciting. I think we need to reinstate the cultural grant program. It was canceled in the last term of council. I won't speak to the reasons why that was, but I think the cultural grant program is a program that gives a small amount of money in most cases to a large number of really worthy cultural and arts-based groups in Richmond Hill. I have no doubt in my mind, because I've seen it in the past, that small amount of money, I mean, relatively speaking, makes a big difference to some of these organizations. And the organizations that end up receiving this grant go on and do great work. And talk about value for money. I mean, if we tried to do the same, I mean, as a city, if we tried to do the same work that they do, it would probably cost more. We'd do it well, but I mean, the community's doing the work, and all we need to do is, give them a little bit of support, and then they do great things. And the multiplier effect for the grant money that we give out is fantastic. And I know of many of the groups that have received those grants in the past, and they're producing a vibrancy with the work that they do. And I'm excited to be able to have the application process, like it's always been, be reinstated, come back with some successful recipients, and then have council support those recipients by giving them some cultural grant funding. The reason that I'm bringing it up now is that I want to make sure that this money is included in the budget process, but also, and I think probably just as importantly, I want to make sure that this happens in 2023. So I think that the application process can start fairly soon. We have the process already in place. So I've spoken to staff, and I think this is totally doable, but I want to just give definitive direction to staff that we as a council would like that to be reinstated, and we do it as quickly as we can. So that's my motion, and I would be excited when the day comes that we're, that the applicants make their applications and come forward and are able to do the great work that we are helping them to do by giving them a cultural grant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor West. I have our Regional Councilor DePaula, and I think that you want to second it. You want to speak to it?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'm happy to second this motion, and it's fitting with a theme of what we're accomplishing here today in our first meeting of council is reversing some of the detrimental changes that were implemented. There's such a great and vibrant cultural and arts community in Richmond Hill, and such a long tradition of this council supporting and financing those efforts. It really does go back to at least 97 that I'm aware of, that we have an application process, that there was a concern that it needs to be truly Richmond Hill groups that are supported with this funding. One of the reasons for scrapping the cultural grant program that was forwarded by its proponents was that we were funding community groups from elsewhere, and that I don't believe that really was the case. But we need to have stringent measures in place to make sure that this funding is going to Richmond Hill community groups. That's my only concern. But I'm very pleased that we're turning back the clock and reinstating a longstanding tradition by this council to fully support and enhance those community groups that are furthering our arts and culture in Richmond Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, Regional Councillor DePaula. I have Councillor Davidson who wants to speak to the motion. Councillor Davidson, please.
Thank you. I think this grant program is a great way to give seed money to organizations that do end up, as the mayor said, doing a lot more for the community. It really grows and benefits all of us. And unless I'm incorrect, I believe there's quite a stringent criteria that staff reviews all of the applications for the grants, and considering what they know about how we run here, grants are thoughtfully awarded. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. And after Councillor Davidson, I have Councillor Shi and then Councillor Civilis. Councillor Tree, please.
Okay, thank you so much. As always, the art and also the culture is really the most attractive forces to connect people together, especially in the community. If you have arts program, music program, those things will be attract all the our residents step out from their home and come into community. So it's really a good tool and also a great way to encourage people step out from their home to work on the community and know each other. We are not thinking about this only for well-being, also emotionally, physically. This is really good opportunity in the program that city offer. Look at our nearby cities, Rockham. They organize many events, right? They encourage people to have this type of dramas, music, arts, celebration, etc. In Richmond Hill, we should have that similar things happening in our city. Our city cannot be only a bedroom city. We should have our cultures, right? Build up more sites, build up more events to encourage the residents come out and join the event together. That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Tree. And next, I have Councillor Civilis.
Thank you. Fully supported, and I'm so happy to see this in front of us. I don't have to repeat anything that was said prior. I know that this will be welcomed, so welcomed by members of our community and the residents. So I fully support this. The one thing I would just ask is when staff are investigating this and they bring it back to our budget 23, if it's possible to perhaps increase the amount. So we currently at 65,000, and if it can be increased to 100,000, if it's possible. I don't want it to have any negative impact on our budget and on the residents. But if it needs to be done incrementally as well, we can do that too. I just want to know what the feasibility is of us possibly increasing it as well, because there are so many groups out there who need our assistance. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Are you directing the question to staff right now at this point in time? So perhaps I could ask our acting city manager to address this question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor. You are correct that we had $65,000 allotted to us in the operating budget and a set of criteria for the artist. When I spoke with the Commissioner of Community Services yesterday, I think what we're going to propose is that we reinstate that program. You've got the Recreation and Culture Plan coming before you on December 7th as well. that will provide some recommendations for us to review that particular program. And so we'll bring a report back to this council once we do that thorough review. So my recommendation at this point in time would be to reinstate that $65,000 so that we can, balance the budget, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you for the answer, Interim City Manager Jocelyn. Councillor Civilits, you continuing or?
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that. And I fully support it. And if the discussion is just had, then perhaps we can just further that discussion. I think that that's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and comments. Next on the speakers list is Councillor New. Councillor New.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm fully support this motion, and I thank Mayor West for bringing this back. I think, once council decided to stop this cultural grant, lots of organizations out there are struggling, and I'm glad to see this come back. And I totally understand the cultural side of it, but also the community side of it. Lots of group, they are not registered at nonprofit. They won't be able to apply for this grant. And even though some of them can't even afford 50% of it. So I would like to, I will continue to work with staff. We need to work beyond this. Lots of group out there, senior groups, they just need a room once a week for a few hours, to do their own stuff. Lots of, groups are being left behind or left out. So yeah, I fully support this, but I would like to see something that goes beyond this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor New, for comments, and also something to the staff to, I hope to improve when coming back to think about those things. Any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I do also offer to my comments. Number one is that thank you, Mayor West. This is critically important. I, for one, I'm assuming my colleagues might also have heard when we are knocking on doors and speaking to people not too long ago. This is one issue I've been hearing from the community, that they still don't understand why previous terms of council cancel it. And as the Mayor West put it so eloquently, the multiplying effect, the little money that helped to have that spark, for creativeness. We see the summer program, we get somebody just very little money, then they start small and becoming big. And the same thing I can see for this particular thing, that not a lot of money, but because in arts and culture, this is really promoting creativity and getting people to think and make things outside the box or traditional way of doing things. So I'm in full support of this. And I hope that the staff will come back as soon as they can. And also in this budget, I think one of the things is that I concur with Councillor New saying in terms of criteria, not just the money aspect. Maybe staff can look at benchmarking what other municipalities are doing, because I do hear from particular seniors, Councillor New mentioned, they're saying to me, look at what these other cities are doing. And how come we're not doing that? So it's something to learn for all of us. Thank you, all my comments for the my colleagues for the comments, and thank you, Mayor West. Would you like to wrap up, Mayor West? No. Hearing Mayor West have mentioned that this is actually something very clearly on the screen. Also, for members public on the live stream can see. I would like to call the vote. The good news is we've passed. This would beginning the process of reinstating the community and cultural grant program once again in Richmond Hill. All those in favor of this motion? I want to say that word again. Passed unanimously. Thank you. And moving on, member motion 14.5 is also moved by Mayor West. Mayor West, the floor is yours.
Sorry, that actually is Mayor DePaul, Regional Local Councillor DePaulo was supposed to move that. So he'll move it.
That's fine. So I'm just going by what in front of me. in terms of the summary. So I'm happy to call Regional Councillor DePaula, the mover for this motion, 14.5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, and I'm happy to move the motion that was given notice to council to add this to the agenda item and for us to discuss this in closed session. So I move that this item be added to our closed session portion.
Thank you. In that situation, Mayor West, since it's not your member's motion, I'll be happy to pass the chair back to you unless you want to second this.
No, it's whatever you prefer. That's fine. I'll take the chair. I guess we need a seconder.
Okay.
Councillor Chan, did you want to
So-
second that?
If you second it, maybe I'll continue to chair until
Okay.
the completion of this matter.
We can do it that way. Go ahead.
Any other comments? Mayor West, you want to speak to it?
No.
Okay. Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Carried unanimously, and I'm very happy to pass the chair back to Mayor West for the remaining business of today's council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. So the last item on the agenda before we go into closed session is 14.6, a member motion by Regional Local Councillor DePaulo. So I'll pass the chair or pass the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So members of council will see the motion that I've circulated. We only have one community newspaper that is specifically dedicated to Richmond Hill. So the Richmond Hill Liberal is delivered to many residents' home on a weekly basis, and we have a long tradition of having had a bulletin page in there. It had for the longest time been a 2-page consistent message in communication from the city of Richmond Hill, where we were able to fulfill our statutory requirements of giving notice of applications before the city, public hearings coming up, a calendar of events, and a detailed list of upcoming committee and council meetings, and then a lot of very useful community information. So this was, it was supposed to be removed on an experimental basis where we were going to broaden our communications across potentially other forums and other medium, but in consultation with residents and continually during the election, I heard that a cry to continue with the community bulletin page, that it was a preferred method of communication. There's not all of our residents are able to go to the website on a frequent basis. That paper is arriving on their doorstep, and if we once again had a convenient community page in the Liberal newspaper, I think it's going to serve our residents very well. So I'm proposing to turn back the clock and re-enter a contract with the Liberal newspaper, so we can have a consistent community bulletin page on, so that it's a known entity that on page 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it is that you're going to open that paper and you're going to find Richmond Hill, City of Richmond Hill information. So I'm moving into the budget, that a staff report come to the budget, and there's lots of other things to discuss. So reinstating a contract with the Liberal doesn't preclude expanding our communications to other ethnic media, to digital media, and the growing need to, and the growing facility that digital formats lend to us communicating. I think in general we need to expand our communications and maybe dedicate more money to it, but it'll form part of a discussion during the budget. But what I'm hoping is that we can resolve as a council that we will reinstate that Liberal contract as a part of an expanded communications effort throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor DePaula. Is Councillor Silovitz, you a second? Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I'll gladly second this. And I want to thank Councillor DePaulo for bringing this forward. It's so important. I concur with everything that he said. The double-page bulletin that we used to have in the Liberal played a vital and responsible role in informing our residents and our community in a hard copy form of public meetings as well as events. So, and as Councillor DePaulo said, it is specifically there as well for those among us who do not have direct access to a computer or who do not feel comfortable in using a computer. So by getting it back into the Liberal where it should be, at least our residents will be notified appropriately as far as I'm concerned. And also it shows our support for our one and only English language community newspaper. And all local newspapers are struggling. And I'm sure that this as post-COVID. And I think that this will also be of great assistance to our local newspaper. So I fully support this, and I look forward to it coming back to us through the budget process and further discussions that we can have, as Councillor DePaulo said, about including other forms of perhaps ethnic communications that we can use that. We can do that as well with regards to our budget process. But thank you. Gladly second.
Thank you, Councillor. Next on the list is Councillor Chui.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mayor, I just have a comment here as well. Just like our Councillor DePaulo mentioned, during my election campaign seasons, the last day for voting, I went to many homes and they have no information about today is the last day for voting. I think I fully support this information, especially for city. If you have a major decision, for example, this is culture funding or voucher program can be restaged. Those important information should be not only in the public from our website, it should be maybe more convenience for the people who want to read newspapers as well. I fully support this motion. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. This would be more comments for staff, and that would be that during contract negotiations that perhaps it could also have a view towards expanding the delivery area that the Liberal might be able to provide. I believe right now they don't cover all of Richmond Hill, and that some of it, they just send flyers to certain areas and then the Liberal, does get delivered to some. So perhaps as part of the negotiations for the contract, that could also include the possibility of expanding their delivery area. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davidson.
Thank you. I am encouraged by Regional Councillor DePaulo's remarks that we will look for other ways to also reach out to other communities that maybe don't enjoy an English paper. I think anything that gets all our multicultural groups interested and knowledgeable about what we're doing here, it benefits everybody. And having a journalist background, I feel supporting local papers is pivotal to democracy, and it's the right thing to do, as well as educating our constituents and our residents about what's going on. So I will definitely support this motion.
Okay, thank you so much. Regional Local Councillor Chan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Davidson. I'm thinking of the same thing that I think also the mover also mentioned about. We are indeed a very diverse community in Richmond Hill, where we take pride, and also as an inclusive, tangible step, also looking at potentially not only with resuming that to have the bulletin board and the Liberal upon the discussion at the budget meetings, but also thinking about ways and means to reach out to our diverse communities, similarly to our Access Richmond Hill that already promoting a language line for those people who would like to converse if they want to speak in their home language. So there's something perhaps, Mr. Mayor, and when staff would receive this motion, I hope is also to be passed, consider about how to really reach out as extensive as possible in addition to Liberal bulletin board. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to piggyback on Councillor Chan's comment, because as far as I remember, last time when we discontinued this contract with the Liberal, Council decided to put the money into ethnic media, and I would be very interested to see in the report how are we going to deal with that. I just want to make sure that has been taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Shu.
I think it's a really good idea to deliver our message and support the local media. And even I think paper media is a sunset industry, but I think it's a good idea to put one more channel to deliver our message. And I suggest if we can extend our channels and cooperate with other local medias in the future, if possible. So I think basically it's a good idea, but it maybe it's not enough. We can just extend our channels through other social media or other local media. And I think, but individually, this idea is very good, personally, for me.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll just quickly, this has been a great discussion and so much has been said. I agree with almost everything. Actually, I think everything. The only one thing I guess I would just add though is and further to Councillor Thompson's point, I think the Liberal also has a digital presence, and I'm wondering if that should also be explored during this process, just to see if maybe that can be a part of it, not just the printed copy. But again, there's a lot of information to be looked at here from staff. I know it's going to be a big task to get this done by the time of the budget deliberations, but I think it's worth it. I think the theme that I'm hearing from my colleagues here today is outreach, outreach, outreach. And how we accomplish that goal needs to be done. And there's probably a million ways to do it, but I think it needs to be done. And, that's something that I think is important. And I'm hearing that from residents all the time as well. People want to be involved. They want to know what's going on. They want to know when the last day of voting is. They want to know when there are events happening in Richmond Hill, and it's out there. I mean, our staff does a really good job actually, but the thing is, it's such a fractured environment now that we live in with information. We need to find a way to do the best we can with the resources that we have available. And I think that's exactly what Councillor DePaulo's motion is all about. And I thank him actually for bringing it up, but also for bringing it up early, to get on with it, because I think this is something that's probably a low hanging fruit. Okay, so unless there's a need for a second round, I think we're good. All those in favor of the motion in front of us? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. I guess we have now a move to go into closed session. So I'm sorry, right? Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I was just testing you to see if you knew, and you passed. That's good. Okay, so we have bylaw 16.1, 16.2, and 16.3. So Councillor Chan, Councillor Silovitz, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so I need a motion to go into closed session. Oh, sorry, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to, and happy to take the motion, but I think for the benefit of the public and to, stick to the best rules when it comes to closed session, if after you take the motion, allow me to read it, so at least everyone knows the statutory reasons why we're going in closed session.
Okay, thank you. That's a good point. So motion to go into closed session. Councillor Silovitz, Councillor DePaulo, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Mr. Clerk, if you could give us some verbiage on that.
Yes, thank you. So the council's just passed a motion to move into closed session to consider personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees with respect to the citizen appointments to the Richmond Hill Public Library Board for the 2002 to 2026 term of council. And this is pursuant to section 239(2)(b) of the Municipal Act. And it's also going into closed session to consider item B, which is to consider personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees and labor relations or employee negotiations in respect to the recruitment of a city manager. And this is pursuant to section 239(2)(b) and 239(2)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. So we'll be moving into closed session for the benefit of the public. We will be coming back out to reconvene in open session shortly. So go make a coffee or something and we'll be back soon. Thank you.